If it's crazy, run for it. Do it. You don't get a lot of crazy visions. However, find a program in your particular city that will cultivate that crazy vision into not just an idea, but actual business model.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where we come to win, we come to fly. This is where we make our dreams come to life. Welcome to Innovation City.
Welcome to Innovation City, a podcast featuring the innovators, disruptors, and creators who are making things happen today. My name is Michael T. Johnson. I'm here with my co-host Tyler Kelly, and we are in St. Louis tonight. We're at Venture Cafe, St. Louis. And if you didn't know, Venture Cafe is the largest gathering of entrepreneurs anywhere in the world. There's more people at Venture Cafe mingling on a Thursday night than anywhere. But we're very excited tonight because we have Genera Moore with us. Genera, thank you for being here.
Thank you for accepting me.
Yeah, this is going to be amazing. So Genera is the founder of Motorparts Nation, which is a U.S.-based company focusing on exporting auto parts into Africa. She's also worked with, or actually taken, Lexani Luxury Motorcars through the Deals on Wheels program to car dealerships in Dubai, which is pretty interesting.
Yep.
And you've just recently launched a travel company where you're going to be taking Americans into West Africa to kind of show them what it's like to be over there, but on the luxurious side, right?
Correct.
So a lot of stuff going on, a true entrepreneur. Welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
So first of all, I'm very interested in this idea of like imports and exports to Africa. So a couple of years ago, I had heard that like the number one car from America people were importing in Africa was the Nissan Xterra. Like it was huge over there, and they just couldn't get enough of them. Does that sound accurate? I have no idea.
Anything Japanese made sells very well in those markets. Nissan, Toyota, Honda, those are strong cars. So the resale value over there is phenomenal.
So how did you get into all of this to start with?
Well, when I lived in Dubai for approximately 5 years, and my background in Dubai was to bring celebrities, and I did Dubai World Cup, which is the richest horse race in the world. Did that 2 years in a row, the closing concert. I brought the Cirque du Soleil shows, the touring shows from Dralian to Michael Jackson Immortal tour, and I did royal family events. And the events that I cultivated and brought to the country garnered a lot of tourism for the country. So the GCC, the surrounding countries, they don't have the flexibility to have concerts and alcohol and those things. It's like haram, which is bad in Arabic. So a lot of people would travel to Dubai, naturally boost tourism for the city. Any event that, Chris Brown's coming, or hey, Cirque du Soleil's coming, they go buy tickets and they fly in. So I did a lot of large scale events in that country to boost tourism. When I was there, I actually started asking questions. Well, how did your family become wealthy, and what did you guys do? Because I've heard it several times over, but I've seen it for myself. I'm smarter than the moron in the Ferrari. And there was a lot of morons in Ferraris. And a lot of people were into trade, basic trade. Import, they buy from you for a cheaper amount, and they resell to this other person for a higher amount, and they make a profit. Simple business. So Dubai is a huge re-export market. So I got into it just by being in the atmosphere, so to speak. And a friend of mine actually got me into the actual automotive business because he, in Qatar, he's from London, but he lived in Qatar for several years, and he noticed how many guys gravitated towards anything automotive. And he had a luxury car detailing business, which he did out of garages or wherever he can detail a person's vehicle. And at the time when he's getting me gravitated towards automotive, which got the Lexani into the market to begin with, through his, basically saying, hey, just get into this business. I guarantee you can make good money from it. He ended up having a business partner that said to him, hey, I need you to fix the scratch on my car. And he came and he fixed the scratch on his car, and he said, hey, I want to go into business with you. And he said, I want to, you did something for me. I want to do something that your kids can actually, when you die, your kids will have something to live on. And this guy's a billionaire. So my friend, brought me around some people that were pretty influential in the auto parts market in Dubai. So I moved back to the States to actually learn the business side of things and took off from there.
Wow. And with Motorparts Nation, you're importing a lot into Africa. Tell me why Africa?
Well, Africa, for starters, is a place where they don't manufacture parts. So they always depend on the American market or Dubai market or Chinese market to import their products. So any country that you can identify that does not manufacture a certain product, they'll always rely on the imports, which provides an opportunity. They don't have like an AutoZone or a Napa or any of those companies over there. So it's easy for anyone who wants to, do branding or marketing to take over in the aspect, because there's a lot of mistrust in the market, because a lot of people, unfortunately, are experiencing death behind fake auto parts, which is unnecessary. But naturally, if you have a fake shock absorber on your car and you can't stop, or it's messing up your suspension on your vehicle, you may risk the lives of their family in the back seat. And that happens quite often.
Wow, so it's more than just an issue of like having a good product. It's a major safety issue.
Correct.
And there's no, so they don't manufacture any auto parts, but there's no auto manufacturers in Africa either, is there? I don't believe there is.
North Africa, like Morocco, has a couple. South Africa has a couple, but the markets that I am in, no. And which is, I only stick to, for now, Ghana and Nigeria, because a lot of other countries, other traders actually go to those countries to use it as a hub.
So it sounds like a pretty, like, getting into that sort of business is pretty wide open, but I'm sure there's some challenges too. So what kind of challenges do you come up against?
Challenges would be the fact that people look for credit. There are naturally some people don't have the cash, and some people that do actually have the capital. I've had guys tell me, hey, I want to do business, but necessarily I don't trust sending you $100,000 because you may disappear off the planet and I'll never see you again. So the Exim Bank here in the United States has really been helpful, because they have allowed me to offer trade insurance for legitimate buyers who have history, and they'll vet the clients for me for free. And they'll say, hey, we'll cover this particular amount for this trader under these terms, which allows me to offer it to my buyers, foreign buyers, to say, hey, I can give you credit based on these conditions.
Yeah. So I'm not incredibly familiar with importing, export. Like, I'm not incredibly familiar with all of the things you're talking about, but one of the things that somebody opened my eyes up to was the fact that just dealing overseas opens up this whole new can of worms with issues with transferring money, and like you're talking about credit, and I'm sure there's other things that, like, if you're dealing in the States, you wouldn't even think of that may be an issue dealing across different countries. So
the great thing is our government, even in the state of Missouri alone, and I deal with the state of Georgia too, everyone is helpful. They have offices dedicated to Americans who want to export. Actually, they have a step grant here in Missouri, where you can get 50% of your travel taken care of. You can get 50% of your lodging taken care of, 50% of any trade show you want to market and appeal in. 50% of the foreign buyer services through the commercial services under the U.S. Embassy taken care of. They do everything they possibly can to protect you as an American to do business in a foreign country, whether it's Latin America, Europe, Asia, Africa, does not matter. They will cover you. But as you know, a lot of people don't take advantage of these opportunities versus someone like me. I take full advantage of the opportunities and make sure that they know me, they know my name, they know my face, and they think about me when they have a actual client coming over to the States and they think to call me and say, hey, well, X, Y, and Z is in New York. Give him a call and see what his needs are and see if you can sell him parts.
So, how long have you been back in St. Louis?
I've been back and forth in St. Louis between here and Atlanta, to be honest. Because Atlanta, I lived there for 10 years, so my family is here, so I've been back and forth for a year now.
Okay. Because if I recall, we met probably about a year ago, right? And part of our you were at the office for an event that we were doing, but part of our conversation afterwards was just around books.
Yes.
And we had similar interest in the types of things that we like to read.
Correct.
And if I recall, it might have been like that NLP book.
Oh, yeah.
That caught your attention.
Programming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's one that you keep on you like for life. You can't just read it just once, but it's a textbook, really.
Yeah, you have to study it. It's like The Power of Now. That's a book where you just can't read it. You have to study it.
Exactly. So I want to ask you just a little bit about that, like as an entrepreneur, like the types of things that you consume, that you put into your mind, the challenges that you might have, and how you face those with consuming good things.
Well, I'll give you a wild story. It's not wild to me, but it's wild to others. So prior to me moving to Dubai, I knew I had to go out there for an event. And at the time, I was battling because my grandmother was very sick and I knew she was dying and I had to go out to Dubai for an event. So I pushed back the event and my grandmother passed away. But the day after she died, her actual funeral, I flew out to Dubai. And my grievance period was partying. So I partied pretty much for the full month. And I had no job. I had no security. I had savings, and I had relied on people that referred me other people to, network with in the market. So I just tried my luck. First 6 months, I survived, but it was rocky. So I came back over Christmas period in St. Louis where my family was, and I stayed here for a month and a half. And then I flew to Thailand, and I had a good deal going in Dubai at the time, just through BlackBerry. Back then, BlackBerry was the king of communication overseas. And from then on, I did some large events. And I don't know if it was just because the universe was just, telling me this is where I should be at the moment. But I take that same attitude towards what I'm doing now. At the core, I keep my integrity because I know what my success was in that market was I'm not going to rip you off in business. And that's what a lot of business people had issues with, people ripping them off, sending them money. For instance, I was to book 50 Cent and the actual organizer, I told him, hey, he's not possible to get right now. He didn't want to hear what I had to say. So he booked it through a Turkish company for $250,000 cash. He sent over. They disappeared. And naturally, I booked 50 Cent months later for that same organizer. So there were so many horror stories like that going on in the market where I gained trust because when I moved there, I was able to gain a lot of trust on the grounds. I'm here in your face. You know who I am. I'm here to stay. So with that being said, I take the same mentality in any market that I do business in. Keep your integrity. Make sure that, because I deal with wealthy individuals. They have the money and the capabilities to spend the money because they want to make it back in terms of profit. but the trust issue is a huge issue in any country. So I do my best at keeping my integrity and making sure that I follow through on everything that I promise that I can do. I don't overpromise. I just make sure I stay within my parameters and tell you what you can get. And sorry, the truth hurts. I tell you what you can't obtain either, because if it's unrealistic, I can't deliver.
Yeah, that's good advice. So, in integrity, you're saying is the number one thing. What other things? For you personally, I mean.
Making sure that you add value to the sale, because they can go to Pep Boys and spend that kind of money as well, and Pep Boys won't give them a return in terms of added value. For me, if you know past clients, I will refer them someone else in that market that's looking to buy things. Maybe they don't trust me yet, but maybe they can visit your shop and buy it from you for wholesale because they need it right away. So my added value is I can actually help you get other clients. I'm not saying they can buy from you because it depends on your price. I don't know your exact set price, but you can see the influx of people that I bring your way, and I don't ask anything in return because I care about repeat business from you. So that's another way that I build rapport with clients, because it doesn't hurt me to add value and go. I wouldn't even call it going out of my way, because I'm adding value for you to come back and build trust with the client.
I like that. We have a chart that we show to clients. Like, here's the different ways to generate revenue. You have the acquisition side and the retention side, and there's things like great customer service, high quality product or service. But that one that really stands out is bringing value outside the scope of what you're being paid to do, which is what you're talking about. And that's the one that I think always sticks with people, because most people don't do that, right? Most people, if they're in a good business, then what they'll do is they'll do everything that they said they're going to do at a very high level. But it's that taking that extra step which always makes people stand out. So I'm happy to hear that. That's good advice.
Yes, and a lot of the guys appreciate it because no one else is doing it for them, and they have in the past invested a lot of money with the company and probably get maybe 80% or maybe 70% delivered. Naturally, if I'm going above and beyond, I'm trying to build the rapport with you, but at the same time, I'm letting you know I'm actually not just looking at you as a client, I'm looking at you as a long-term client.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Delivering on promises and bringing increase.
Yeah. So what kind of things have you learned along the way that maybe you can share for other entrepreneurs to be listening? So you've talked about some of the things that you do, but maybe some things you've learned from experience, some pitfalls to avoid or things like that you can share.
Always have a contract. That's key. Do not send any products without getting the money first. I have not done that, but I've heard a lot of horror stories from companies here in the United States where they've sent products overseas and the client has used credit cards, and as soon as they receive the product, they cancel the credit card, and now they're stuck with who knows how much, but they've been burned a lot. So I try to mitigate being burned and just stick with, if I don't have the money up front, or if you're not approved through a trade insurance through the Ex-Im Bank, I cannot offer credit. But what I can do is refer you to a client that has purchased from me, where you guys can talk to each other and work things out amongst yourselves to see how you can particularly conduct business. But with entrepreneurs, believe in yourself, because if you tell yourself things psychologically, hey, I have the worst product in the world, no one's going to buy from me, then naturally, the universe is listening like a microphone, and they're listening to everything you're saying. So who would buy products from someone who has the worst product in the world? I believe I have the best product. I believe I have the best customer service. That naturally, universe hears you and says, we'll send you clients. And I believe that's key. Really believing in yourself is definitely key in any business.
So I'm curious about that. So tell me how you I mean, it's not as simple as how you do it, but do you have like a process? Do you have like something you do every day that like gets you in the right frame of mind so that you can be thinking clearly like that?
Correct. I believe in meditating. I actually go and jog in the park because nature in itself, all of the love and the nature around that energy soaks into you. And by it soaking into you, you can vibe off of that. And, it's there, speaking basically spiritually now, but spiritually, that is what get a lot of entrepreneurs over the mark. We all think it's physical hard work or grit and grind and just try to bust our butts. No, a lot of this stuff is spiritual. You have to first believe in yourself, but at the same time, be at the core of having a good nature and just clearing a lot of blockages that could stop you from making money and being abundant. A lot of things like that. Being an entrepreneur can make you struggle through, hey, I'm not making sales this month. I have, mortgage due. I have my car note due. All these things are going through a person's head. But if you know at your core what you're doing is what you're called to do, you have nothing to worry about. Like I said, I moved to Dubai with a suitcase and did the largest events. Why? Because I had integrity. I can show my face inside of different places and say, hey, you can actually call so-and-so now. Because Dubai is a big place, but it's a small place as far as the actual, number of people living there, knowing each other. And no one made any calls, but naturally they knew from just dealing with me, I was going to keep everything legitimate and I would deliver on everything that I've done. And with that being said, I like to show my face again to anyone I do business with. I don't want to say, hey, I can't ever walk into that room again with so-and-so being there because I ripped them off really bad because I'm greedy or, I had bad intentions. So I just think at the core, entrepreneurs have to believe what they're selling is the best product ever. Even if it's not, you can find a way to make the product, enhance it, but just believe in yourself.
I love that. The most difficult part of being an entrepreneur is the mind game. And if you can't master that, you won't get very far. And you take it to the next level in terms of sales, just in general. Like, you have to believe in what you're selling, because if you don't believe in it, no one else will.
Absolutely, they won't. There are a lot of people who lack integrity and just look at things for a buck perspective, and they're gone today. They're just out of business. And I have to look at this as a long-term perspective because individuals in their cars will always break down. This is going to happen. Naturally, someone is going to need their car fixed right away. And this is why I got into the business, because entertainment, I looked at dealing with different companies when I did smaller events. And when their budget was cut, the first thing that went was entertainment. And I said to myself, I never want to get into a business again that they cut my budget. I want to get into business where I'm first. Mm-hmm. Cars, your car breaks down, this is first priority to get it fixed. And I'm selling the product to get it fixed. That's
awesome.
So you're talking about being in it for the long haul, and you talked about like doing stuff you believe in. So I'm curious, if you think about, like, for you, what's the big picture? Like, what's the legacy that you want when you're finished with all this, if you'll be finished? You know what I'm saying?
Well, definitely to be acquired. But at the same time, as I told you guys, that I started a travel company. And the travel company, as I noticed in a particular place like Ghana, the president, the vice president, on down, they've been in America, Silicon Valley, Ivy Leagues, even the U.S. State Department and Secretary of State and all these different individuals came over to Ghana recently because they're trying to boost trade with America and Ghana. And the opportunity that I had with the assistant program director here at iHeart, he approached me as soon as I came back from Ghana to say, hey, do you want to sell travel packages with us for guests to go to Ghana next year? And I said, sure, why not? Because this is my background. And I found that to be a way for me to get in with the right people in Ghana to build my credibility, make money, of course. But if I can boost the GDP of the country by promoting them in a positive manner, I'm going to automatically get business from them. It's the same thing I've did in Dubai. How I even got into the royal family events because I was booking celebrities. So I saw events in that market in the Middle East as a way to get around wealthy individuals to do further business. And that's how it works. You may have one thing to do, one lane, but then it pivots into something else where it all syncs together as a happy marriage.
Yeah.
So you have somebody listening or watching right now. They have this, as you would say, crazy. How'd you word that? Crazy vision for the future for themselves, but they're not doing anything about it. They think it might be crazy. Like, what's that one piece of advice you give that person?
If it's crazy, run for it. Do it. Because if it's crazy, that means it's something you should do. You don't get a lot of crazy visions. However, find a program in your particular city that will cultivate that crazy vision into not just an idea, but actual business model. Because we all have crazy visions and crazy ideas, but does it make money? Are you passionate about it to make it generate income for yourself? Take it, see what happens with your baby. Don't be afraid of someone saying, hey, this sucks, because that happens at times. But as long as you believe in yourself at your core and that you're doing the right thing and you actually have enough support, go to different programs that would actually support your vision and bring it into a business model validation, you'll be fine.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
And if you quit, you'll live in regret. And when you live in regret, 10 years from now, I'm sure you're going to be drinking Jack Daniels, hoping and wishing that, hey, I wish I went ahead with my idea. You know, I read a quote a while ago saying, the richest place on earth is the cemetery because all these ideas, all these bright ideas have died with people.
This is true. So how can people get in touch with Motorparts Nation, with you, if they want to reach out, say, hey, how do they connect with you on social?
Well, I actually wanted to talk about the travel company, and they can reach me at Tano Travel on Instagram and Tano Travel Inc. on Facebook.
And how do you spell that?
Tano Travel.
And we'll put it up on the screen or in the notes as well.
Because I'm sure no one's going to contact me for parts in America.
This is true, right?
They have Napa, they have AutoZone.
There's about 60 auto parts stores.
Correct.
In the city,
so more so if they want to go to Ghana, they can definitely contact me about West Africa.
That's awesome. And you personally, are you on social media anywhere?
Yes, my name is on Facebook. You can look me up through Genera Tiffany's Moore at, not at, but on Facebook.
Okay. Wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you, Genera.
Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure.
Same here. Thank you.
Thank you.
For more episodes, visit innovationcity.co. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. And if you're in St. Louis, visit us on a Thursday night. Details at vincafstl.org. And connect with us on social at We Are Slam or at Venture Cafe STL. Thanks for listening.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where